Okay, so the last thing on the list that we will cover, and then we're gonna wrap this up. And like how I promised, this is all going somewhere, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna get through it. We're gonna muscle through it because there's some takeaways to take away from this. Okay, but the last story we're gonna talk about is what's been going on with Cat Williams. Okay, now before we get started, there is evidence of said whistleblowers actually meeting their untimely demise. So, with that being said, shout out to Cat Williams, and hopefully he still goes on to live a successful, productive life and die of old age, even though he should be like late 40s, 50s, something like that. So let's hope he can make it to 70, 80, something like that. But he's been cooking on the internet, and the internet on fire as a result of this, right? And basically he calls out certain actors and certain comedians. Okay, he covers the kings of comedy, so we're going to pump the brakes and talk about that for a little bit. Hopefully we don't bleed the block dry, so to speak, and then we can keep it pushing, keep it moving. But so what he had to say about the kings of comedy is, so a name that has been circulating about the kings of comedy was actually Steve Harvey, and this name has been percolating for a while. Shout out to the 4 original kings of comedy, because as a child, even though there's some alleged things that's going on with these fellas, they brought us great laughter and entertainment. So shout out to those guys for what it's worth. But to get back on Steve Harvey, he basically said everything there is to say about Steve Harvey that's already been said. This guy's been going behind folks' back, auditioning for roles that he ain't have no business auditioning for roles. Like, the role is already sold up, and here he is coming after folks auditioning for the same role, and then he's even offering people money so he could take the role, and he's even offering to take a pay cut, yada yada yada, which is that's pretty lighthearted, and is actually funny to me. Like, I'm already trying to do this role, and here you come all after the fact, trying to, pick me. Come on, bruh.
I got $20 if you want to give me, like, just half of your role.
So, then he had some things to say about D.L. Hughley, of course. And then he also said this about Cedric Entertainer. He said, basically, Cedric don't have any talent, the evidence really support what he's talking about, because I only think Cedric got one special on Netflix, and it's really, really, really old. And the few movies that he been with, nothing to write home about, except for the one where he had Diana Williams and Lil Bow Wow in it, and they were going to the family reunion, and then also the Roscoe's family reunion or something like that. So he's like the family reunion guy. Those movies were pretty cool. But that last movie I just mentioned, not only did it have Mike Epps in it and what's her name, Monique, the star of the show was actually Martin Lawrence. So that doesn't really get credited to him.
I heard he said, and like kind of makes me laugh, because like I ain't got no problems with Cedric the Entertainer, but he said, how you gonna have entertainer in your name and you don't even entertain nobody? So that's the whole thing with this whole thing with Cat Williams. Like, I don't know if I should take him serious or not. Like, I don't know if when he was saying all this stuff, if like he went on there and it was like a 3 hour, like, he's just tearing everybody apart like comedians do, or is this legit stuff that's really happening? Like, I don't even know, bro.
Well, to bring up another name, which we'll talk about this guy more in depth once we wrap this segment up. But it's basically like getting in an argument with Jim Carrey. The reports has it. People in Jim Carrey's circle, his ex-wives and stuff like that. They say when Carrey get mad at you, which there's actually video footage and evidence of this, right? Jim Carrey, he's just gonna roast you, bro. So pretty much, I think that's the beauty of comedians, and I think that's the beauty of Cat Williams as well too. Like he could take a very very serious accusation in a very serious situation and still get dimes off. So that's really colorful, and I really appreciate that. Even though he really had some very powerful things to say about the kings of comedy and stuff like that. But one part that really, really, really stands out is he was talking about, Big Mama's House 2. And not only that, but, so, okay. So, we already know about the sex rituals, right? Okay. Even though we call it sex rituals, there's an actual name for this ritual that he's talking about. It's actually called a humiliation ritual. Okay, so of course, if you're a straight man and you do homosexual activities, of course, this would probably be embarrassing for you. You know, not only is it embarrassing for you, but if you are one of the unfortunate ones to actually participate in said ritual, then of course you don't want said ritual and such deplorable acts to get out about you, right? So one of the things that he talked about is a humiliation ritual is actually wearing a dress. Okay, now this also goes along with you know demasculate demasculating men. And of course, there's evidence. So allegedly, that the powers that be has been trying to demasculate black men since like the 15, 16, 1700s. And a little pearl of wisdom about slavery is that sometimes the black men during slavery had to watch as their whole family were obliterated right before their eyes. This is a demasculating act that you could do. Just basically, taking precious things that you care about and that you want to fight for. They just basically taking that away from you. So you got that going on. But to get back on topic and stuff like that. So fast forward to modern day living and stuff like that. One of the rituals to demasculate men is actually to get them on nationwide television and have them do a deplorable act as posing as women or dressing up as dresses. Which when I say that, okay. Early history of acting before the cameras and stuff like that, they used to, basically gather around the crowd and they used to play the plays, right? And perform music and stuff like that, live music, concerts, right? And during this time in music, right, you still had alto, baritone, bass, tenor, and soprano, right? And they used to get men to sing such high notes, okay? And of course, they used to also get men to play women. And throughout human history, there was black folks everywhere, all right? And there were also women everywhere. There's also white people everywhere. There's just people everywhere, right? So what I'm even arguing is, okay, maybe there's evidence out there. I don't know for sure, so this is not a official report, but maybe some of the black folks, like in ancient Greece, ancient Samaria, and stuff like that, when they were doing this, maybe some of the men in these cultures probably put on a dress. So I say that to say, about wearing a dress in Hollywood. I'm saying I ain't gonna do it, but yeah, 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 it really doesn't affect me. But we still have to put the information out there, which the information is, this is a humiliation ritual when you have to, you're a straight man and you have to play a quote unquote homosexual character, or you are put in a dress for pretty much 1 hour and 30 minutes of like that is the whole movie, kind of like Big Mama 2 or Big Mama the first one and stuff like that. Even though the first one was pretty good, I'll give it to him. But that's the ritual, is what they're saying, is demasculizing men and getting them to look more feminine on TV and stuff like that. So he goes on to say that, and then he brings up, I can't think of the name, but he do drop the co-star Big Mama as well as Martin Lawrence wearing a dress. Then he talks about Jada and Will and their situation, which this is also a whole nother video that we have to cover in the future, once upon a time, when all this stuff gets out to where we can get all the information and stuff. And then he goes on to say that the comedians and stuff like that has went on podcasts and stuff and basically called them out for tomfoolery, so to speak. One thing that they really point out is that there's no definite denial. Now, to these people's defense, okay, if they're coming up on podcasts and saying, hey, this guy, we don't know what he's doing, yada yada yada. This is your way of denying the evidence that's being put out there for you.
Yeah, I personally think if you was a celebrity, would it be good for you to speak either way? Like, okay, so you speak and then you deny it, and then it's like, oh, he's denying it because he's lying. You don't speak and you ain't saying anything because you afraid you gonna say something that is gonna be held against you. So either way, you probably gonna lose if you say anything anyways. So, I really feel like that can't be like a registration that, oh yeah, they're guilty because they're not saying anything about it. Like, it literally is, they probably just ain't saying nothing because they don't want to deny something. They know if they is not involved, they don't want to deny it and be like, yeah, it wasn't me. Like, that's what Shaggy said, and he has a whole song about that thing. So, just saying.
And then some of the other things that he talks about is the fact that most of these comedians and actors, they really don't have an idea, for their stand-up or for their show or their movie and stuff like that. So there's a lot of piracy going on, but especially since copyright laws and this, that, and the other, you can't really prove that it's piracy, even though it is. If I wrote the script and you are performing my script without me, being involved in it and stuff like that, this is piracy. This is like the base definition of what piracy is. So he talks about that. And another thing that another thing that happened as well too is more or less with the Pat McAfee show. So he did this on Club Shay Shay. So how many of y'all like football again? Okay, if y'all don't know, Uncle Shay Shay or Unc Shay Shay or Shay Shay, or his real name is Shannon Sharp, right? He's a former legendary tight end, played for the Broncos and the Baltimore Ravens, among other teams, and he's won 3 Super Bowls, 2 with the Broncos, 1 with the Ravens, and of course he's a Hall of Fame, and of course everything that your tight end is doing now, he probably did it first. So he's your favorite tight end's favorite tight end, you know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But After the show, of course, Shay Shay, he got a plethora of show. Club Shay Shay, First Take, and then he's got a show with another football player by the name of Chad Johnson, formerly Chad Johnson. His name is Chad Ocho Cinco. Shout out Ocho Cinco. But so he goes up there and he basically said, like, okay, this was unscripted and unprompted, which we'll talk about this at the end of the show. But unscripted, unprompted, and of course, once you click on the document, Cat Williams says before he started dropping dimes after dimes after dimes that Club Shay Shay is actually a safe haven or safe space in order to tell the truth. And after that, he just get liquored up and he just let that thing go, and he drops significant names and stuff like that. It's a 3-hour show. Go check it out on YouTube. And then you'll know what we know. And also they have plenty of recaps and stuff like that. And it's just hard to hear.
I was thinking long and hard about this when I was starting to watch with the Cat Williams segment interview on Shay Shay. I was thinking about how he, at the very beginning, said he was liquored up. So I feel like, and I'm not taking side here, he could be telling complete truth. I like Cat Williams. I ain't got no problems with Cat Williams. He's actually really, really, really funny to me. But when somebody's drunk or they announce that this is the best liquor, like this is way stronger than I thought it was going to be, and you could almost tell like he was feeling it already at the beginning. Like, did he do that so that he had a cop out in the end? Like, if he said something that he later on wanted to take back, well, I was just drunk, Like, did he have that cop out in the end? I don't know.
So this will probably take us to the end here. So to kind of elaborate on that, man. Now, yes, this is a direct message for Cat Williams. I know, I'm not anybody particular, but I admire you. I admire you from a distance, and I really appreciate what you're doing now. But a question I have for you, Mr. Cat Williams, sir, is, okay, if all of this is going on, there's a couple pictures about you in particular throwing up symbology, okay? And we already talked about that towards the beginning of the show, okay? But, there's symbology and you're actually throwing up said symbols and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is the part of everything that, can you take it serious? Can you not take it serious? How much is Cat Williams himself is involved in all of this? How did you get your success and your fame? Are you a part of it? If not, was you a part of it and was you trying to get out? Like, basically, what is it? We don't know. And to you again, sir, okay, no disrespect, humbly speaking, because, of course, I'm trying to get where you at, of course. So if you got any advice, holla at your boy as well. But another question to you, sir, is, okay, if you're quote unquote blowing the whistle on what's going on behind closed doors and stuff like that, just basically tell us, who's like the ringleader of all of this going on. And if there's not a definite leader, what's the conglomerate? Okay? Like, just basically, you're talking about not little bitty people, but you're talking about some people, but you're not saying everything. Is this the only, is this the only thing you can speak on, or do you know more? Like, just basically, we're just in the dark, and this is basically a cry for more information and more help. Just basically, we know you know a lot, or at least this is how it appears to be. So if you can elaborate more, and please be careful and be safe, sir. Okay, please be safe. But if you can elaborate on more of what's going on, you know, let me know personally, but let us know as a group. Maybe we can help you, maybe something. I think all the commotion that you cause on social media and in the media in general, and there's some people that have your back, and then there's some that's trying to expose you too, which I'm pretty sure you're aware of that as well too. But if you know more, sir, why don't you please, you know, basically help us with the information, because we starving right now.
Yeah, it also does make me concerned for him because you always hear about when people say something about other celebrities and then they just like go missing, or something happens to them and it's an accident. Like, I feel like if something happens to Cat Williams, we're going to know, and I don't wish anything upon him. I hope nothing does happen to him. But we're going to know that one of these people is behind it, if not all of them. Because there probably is there could be some type of organization or something that these people are all involved in. Either that or Cat Williams, like when you see like the presidential campaign and then they got the post that's like, and I approve this message. Like, who's the one that approved the message that he had? Was it him himself, or was there somebody else behind that? Because that's what always gets me, and I always want to know, but that may be a question we never have the answers to. So personally, I think that Cat Williams may or may not be telling the truth. I don't really know. I'm leaning towards it could be either way, to be honest. But I'd like to watch a little bit more of it, maybe another time so I can just see some more detail of what's all been said there. It was very interesting to me, though, so that I will continue to watch on. I think as far as the Epstein Island thing, like, if that's true, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves if that's true. But if it ain't true, like I said, I ain't gonna lean either way because, to be honest, like, I don't really know. I feel like there's always scandals. There's scandals all the time. When there's involving money, somebody always has a scandal. And I don't really want to believe the whole P. Diddy thing. I also don't want to think bad about Cassie either because she's a really good artist, but we don't know what people's personal issues are, and we don't know like how people really are outside of the persona that they portray as a person that's famous. So to be honest, like, we could really like P. Diddy and not really like him in real life. So until I was to actually meet the guy and hang out with him, which I'd probably have friends around just in case. Um, like, not to be bad or anything, like, because I don't know how he is. But I probably wouldn't be alone with him until I knew how he truly was before I was, just because of the allegations. And maybe that's not fair to him, and maybe that's not fair to her for me to think that she might be wrong either. I don't really know, but that's why we have this segment, You Don't Jazz No Berries, just because we want to see what your guys' opinion is, and just see what you guys think. But what are your thoughts?
In closing, ladies and gentlemen, so like how I told you guys and promised, this is all going somewhere, okay? And where is it going, you may ask? Okay. So basically, what we're starting to learn and figure out is maybe our heroes are, not the people that we thought they were. And of course, some of the alleged accusations that are against some of our heroes, even if they're innocent, what about the court of public opinion, and how that sits? So basically, and as we saw before during last year, that there was a writer strike for Hollywood and an actor strike as well for Hollywood. So, there's something called quote unquote gatekeepers. Okay. All right. This is all going somewhere. Stay with me. Okay. So we have gatekeepers. And of course, some of the people that we mentioned, besides Epstein, are gatekeepers. Okay. So that means if you are basically trying to get into the entertainment industry, you may have to encounter one of these alleged gatekeepers in order to get to the next step. Okay. But now, like I said, we're finding out that they're not the kind of people that we think they are, you know? So, where did that leaves people like, the Impact Playa and Supernova here? Where did that leaves us who's actually trying to strive and become an entertainer of some sort? Either acting, hip hopping, singing, dancing, this, that, and the nine. Okay. So let's talk about social media here for the closing moments. Okay. So you have platforms like Discord, Twitch, let's see, Facebook, even Instagram to a certain extent. So we'll just say the metaverse. And then we have YouTube. Okay. And I guess the cream of the crop is actually YouTube. There's a couple millionaires that came from YouTube. Shout out Sniper Wolf in particular. Oh yeah, shout out RDC. Just if you're a millionaire and you're on YouTube, shout out to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And keep doing your thing. Okay? But to continue, okay, so we have all of these social media platforms, and then we have one legit source that is almost as if you're watching TV and YouTube, okay? So my best advice to everybody out there in the world is what? These gatekeepers and society can't stop the train. They can't stop the movement, okay? So instead of going through a gatekeeper or anything like that, I encourage you to take control and put the power in your own hands. Bet on yourself, please, okay? Utilize these platforms and please try to get ahead that way, because there's so much corruption, alleged corruption between, finding a manager, finding a promoter, and actually, meeting somebody like a Kanye West, like a Jay-Z and stuff like that. There's so much corruption, you don't know where you're going. So to remain pure and not have to do such unspeakable, deplorable acts, right? Okay. I am encouraging you, once again, please utilize social media and these platforms and stuff like that in order to get yourself out there. Okay. Shout out to YouTube, SoundCloud. Shout out to basically social media websites and stuff like that that is putting the power back in our court. Okay. Because to degrade yourself in that magnitude and to either unalive somebody or be unalived yourself, this is, how many white folk that are entertainers died just this past year because of this? How many black folks that were entertainers that died this past year because of this? You have to ask yourself that. But see, if we could stay away from them altogether and continue to do our thing, this is what we're looking for. Not only that, let's talk about YouTube for a minute. And let me mention something else that goes along this topic. Okay. So we have these podcasters called Fresh and Fit. You got Fresh and you have Fit. And I forgot buddy name. I think it's like Myril or something like that. He's pretty much the face. The guy, he's pretty funny, and some of his points are valid, but take it with a grain of salt, okay? All right, because you don't want to be saying this to people, to women out there in general. But let's talk about this. Okay, so here recently there was a picture of him with a guy on a bed. Okay, so what am I trying to tell you? Okay, to a certain point, even YouTube has bugs and have gatekeepers in YouTube. So please, just make sure you stay safe out there, okay? We don't know if that was a ritual or not. But this is the main thing, okay, for an alpha male like that, okay, which he defended himself and talked about things and gave an explanation why that going on and stuff like that. But for a picture like that to surface and stuff like that, I know he knew what kind of backlash that he was going to have as a result of that, and the picture still flew out there. See, this is the evidence that folks is talking about with demasculizing men as well as a humiliation ritual, and he caught so much flack for that. Now, like how I said, I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I'm not going to be like I don't care to know. I'm just saying I don't know. Okay, so, that's up to him and God to discuss and figure out themselves. But what I'm trying to get to, that there's evidence of corruption everywhere, okay? But even so, a platform like YouTube, right? You could still do it. I'm encouraging you. And remember, the impact player always want to see you win. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's edition of You Don't Jazz No Berries. There's a lot to unpack here. But don't forget to leave a like and a comment. Don't forget to leave a comment about everything that we done talked about. Okay? I just want to open up the conversation and stuff. And I don't care about the rules of YouTube or anything like that. Hopefully you could tell I'm very sincere when I say that the information that we put out there, even including Jeffrey Epstein, we're not here to judge anybody, even though this guy kind of judged everybody. But we're not here to judge anybody. We're just here to put out the information and basically spark a conversation as to what's really going on, why is it going on, and what can we do going forward, okay? So please leave that in the comments, and don't forget to visit our website, which is also in the comments below. And I've been your host this evening, the Impact Player. Please say the player. And always alongside me is Miss Lady K. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Thank you, and please be safe out there.